Alright guys, hi, we are live from the Ethelbert B. Crawford Public Library in Monticello, New York. We're going to be speaking in a couple minutes, and thank you for tuning in. And those of you coming late, don't worry, we haven't started yet, and we're going to be off. We'll start around 6:05, that time. Alright, thanks guys. Alright.
Go.
Is she looking at numbers of how many people?
I believe so. But people try to repair so much one.
Leslie? She read it and said,
You might die. Hi. Nobody's watching it. This is a good sign.
By the way, in case you guys need anything during,
Nobody is watching it.
I don't know.
You can sit right here. Alright, that way you can plug in. Because you're gonna die.
Okay, by the way, you guys need any supplies? The outer like requirement right now has like a tissue thing.
Okay. Alright, we're charging now. We're good.
Okay.
Nobody is viewing yet, so you're good.
If you guys need something, like shoot me a text. I can see what part of my backpack has it. There's tissues. It's practically hair attachments.
Okay, cool. Gosh, that's not good.
Water, like is obvious.
Okay.
Case mom needs, etc.
Awesome.
Just send text to get the
Right here, down here, we'll show our viewer count. You might see that go up, you might not. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's gonna actually.
Okay. I'll be here. Just send text to get anything.
Thank you.
I don't know what you guys' feels are, so
Carly has my phone. If you need her for anything, if you need her for anything, just message her on my phone.
Okay. I was just about to say keep your phone on vibrate because if you guys want when you guys start kicking up, I'll let you guys know that we have a bunch of viewers right now.
Okay, yeah, tell Carly. Text her. She can always tell me up there real quietly because I'm not going to pick up my phone when I'm talking. You know?
All right, I'll let you know if that happens. So far, we have nothing going on whatsoever notification-wise.
Okay, I figured we wouldn't because we're not huge.
I'll
But you never
I'll
know.
update you if like we start getting a change.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, and when they comment, they will get like a pop up at the top of the screen here. Okay.
All right. Thank you. You can just close that, yeah. All right.
Yes. Yeah. I was just trying to sign from the iPad.
And now.
Welcome to the Rocky North Community Room at the library, the new library. We're going to hear tonight from Sullivan Paranormal Society about their investigation of the old library. Everybody been to the old library? Yeah. Okay, so that's on the agenda as well as looking after my friends up at interesting organizations. So our reference over here. Reverend always.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We are Sullivan Paranormal Society. My name is Laura Goldor.
And I'm being hi.
And we're co-founders of Sullivan Paranormal. We've got quite a few of our members here tonight. We've got Pat, Carly, Barbara in the back. We have Donna, Dave, and
Basically tonight what we're going to do is we're going to tell you a little bit about how we investigate and what we investigate, and then we'll be revealing at the end what we found at the old location of this library.
how many of you have been to our talks in the past? We've given just a couple. Oh, great.
That's a lot.
So you already have a good idea about who we are and what we do. So we'll go through a couple of these fairly quickly. Is that the first one?
Yeah.
We're based in Sullivan County. We've got 8 members on our team, plus a ghost-hunting dog. He doesn't go with us into home investigations, things like that, but he has accompanied us to cemeteries, and well, he's large.
Yeah.
He's very large. But he does go with us, different outdoor locations.
Yep, and he is our logo on almost everything. Because we love him. His name is Gnome.
I have been nicknamed Fearless Leader, and I do have 20+ years of paranormal experience, personal experiences in my own home. We won't say how many plus past the 20 I have. We'll just leave it at that. There's just a picture of our team. The past couple of seasons, we've put up a paranormal Christmas tree over at the Sullivan County Historical Society. They do have, trees set up that different businesses in the area put in each year, and we have a paranormal one.
All right, so some notable tidbits about us is we have done 25 investigations so far. We've done far more than that by now, I think, because we haven't updated this slide. But we are very active. We've been around for 2 years now. We were just featured on WJFF on their radio show. And we were featured on the Paranormal Filler with Wes Forsythe, talking about what we do, how we do it, basically what we're doing here. And we partnered with my shop, which is Magic Macabre Co., and I go to festivals all over the Northeast and stuff, and I advertise this.
Okay, one thing that, we get a lot of questions about our equipment, and here and there we've mentioned the different things that we use, but we thought we'd go a little bit more in depth than we normally do. One of the things that we use the most often would be the EMF meter and the K2. Generally, we get to a location, and the first thing we want to do, aside from an in-depth interview with the owner, is go through the location and get an idea of the EMF throughout the building. And I don't know how familiar everyone is with EMF. Everything, just about all your appliances, a refrigerator, your circuit box, anything with electricity is going to give off EMF. And it's really what you're looking for with this as you go around. You get a baseline, see, the wiring in the house, see, what everything rates on the meter. And in locations where you know there should not be or should be very low EMF, if you start getting spikes in the field, they do suggest that it could be a spirit trying to manifest. You're picking up on that energy.
Yeah, and a lot of times EMF will make you feel like somebody's watching you. If they're high enough, it can be not necessarily something paranormal. It could be something like going out into your furnace room or something like that. If there's high enough EMFs, it can make you feel like something's watching you while you're in there, even if there isn't anything. So we also look out for that. So we try to get like a base and try to debunk things before we go in and go, aha, this is paranormal.
The next thing that we utilize the most often is digital voice recorders. Whether it's paired with a ghost box, which we'll get to, or just on its own, there are so many things that you don't pick up on with your natural hearing. You can be having a conversation and naturally there could be someone else speaking in the room. You may not have heard it, focused in on it, or noticed it at all. And with the paranormal, you can be having a conversation, and if you have the recorder going, it's going to pick up on voices that you would not hear of somebody who you can't see. We picked up a lot of EVPs, which are, well, you'll hear them soon. It's just so nice to always have a recorder going when you're walking through the field, and you know, whatever location you're at, because you do pick up things that you never expect to hear. Okay, the ghost box is basically just an AM/FM radio that is set to continuously sweep through the radio frequency. It has the pause disabled. And the thinking with this is that as it sweeps through and you're just getting just a continuous noise of static, and here and there maybe the blip of a radio station, is if you pick up a voice that carries across a number of radio stations, it's more likely supposedly to be a spirit trying to communicate, that it's using the energy around and communicating. You know, you can get little blips of noises from radio stations as it goes by, but as I said, if you get words, a few words in a row, something like that, it's going across a number of radio stations, so it's much less likely to be something natural.
All right, night vision cameras. I'm sure most of you here have watched paranormal television shows. Those are usually filmed in night vision because it's easier to see what's going on. It's infrared, and they allow us to take pictures and videos in the pitch black. So just because we can't see across the room, our night vision camera will be able to. So we can pick up on stuff that we normally wouldn't pick up on with our natural eye.
The obelisk. We haven't used this much yet. It just fell into my lap at my birthday last month. But it is a nice piece of equipment. It measures changes in the energy in the environment around you, and then it converts it with a synthesizer chip. And what it does is it's taking whatever readings and whatever conversion it uses. It's got a 2,000-word dictionary, and when things converge, it spits out a word. Supposedly it can be quite accurate. I'm hoping it is. I have only used it a few times yet. Yes?
Your 2,000-word dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
how do you assess that with the energy that you were getting? Who assessed that with the energy you were getting?
As I said, I just got it, so I really haven't used it enough to, have a handle on it. I'm really not sure exactly yet. I've got to do a lot more reading on it to discover, exactly how is it taking this energy and why is it choosing the words that it does.
I'm just curious.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I am too. I can't wait to play with it. First thing we do, we go into an investigation after our interviews with the owners, after doing some baseline meetings with EMF, set up our base camp so that we've got our DVR set up with cameras that, are live feeding. We've got everything, we've got somebody, usually 2 people at that base camp all the time. We investigate in groups of, a lot of times 2, but generally 3 or 4 people, because it's safety. And it's not necessarily safety from the paranormal, it's safety as in you're walking through a home that you're not used to. You're walking through a museum that has, oddly positioned exhibits, and, you want to make sure you don't trip, and if you do trip, you want to make sure somebody's there to help you out.
All right, so how we started investigating paranormal is we started at cemeteries. We're just gonna sort
A
of
quick overview.
quick
because we
overview
just-
these. The ones in green are ones that we found evidence of the paranormal at. The other ones are just ones that we couldn't really get a lot, and we didn't find anything when we were there.
Although we thoroughly enjoyed them, because for some reason, we gravitate towards cemeteries, whether it's the photography or just, walking through them, they're fascinating pieces of history.
Oh, you can actually see it in this one. That's awesome. A lot of times it's really hard to see on the projectors what we're showing. But basically what we have circled and what we have blown up is some photos that we've got from the Heavenly Lost Cemetery in North Branch. We also got a K2 spike on video at this location as well, but that's not in here, that's on our YouTube. But that's just some abnormality that showed up in 2 of our images, and then the rest of them, it wasn't there. And we can't explain it, so that's why we included it.
So just some of the local haunts that we've investigated. Stone Arch Bridge, everyone loves Stone Arch Bridge. We've been there at least 3 or 4 times investigating.
We love it.
And, we won't go into necessarily the history of the murder there, but, you can find that online. It's a fascinating case, and every time that we've been on the bridge, and we generally go in with voice recorders and ghost box, we've taken some pictures and things. It's really, we haven't gotten too much on photos, although we have, seen some things with the naked eye that we couldn't explain, but, well, we've picked up some interesting audio. Yeah. So you want to, funny? Or maybe pick the neck.
Thank you. Right, and you might say, okay, that could be anything. It's not necessarily hard proof. But when we went,
I've heard that.
yeah, when we went back a second time, we'll have to see what we got. Which guy?
Here.
All right.
Can you confirm one more time who it was that killed you so we can let others know? We will let anyone who listens know that it was Adam.
And one of the things we find most interesting about this is the Stone Arch Bridge has a lot to do with the number 3. And we got this name 3 times, and we think that's more than a coincidence.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know that this case, I'm sure you know as well, has been really, really thoroughly investigated. And I thought we actually knew who did the killing. Do the names match up with
Yes.
the suspect is?
Yes, Adam Height was the
Okay.
murderer, and he
He was acquitted though.
was
So
acquitted of
he
the
was-
murder. His son went to jail for the crime. But Adam later was institutionalized, and we think it was just, the whole pressure of everything that, he already had thought he was hexed. He thought, he ended up at least being in a conspiracy to murder George Market. And so it's, yeah.
And were there any men on your team that night during that investigation?
No.
Just curious.
There were
Dave might-
actually, the
Dave
second time we
the
went,
second
there were 2 guys with us, but they were not
Not on the
Not-
bridge.
on the bridge at the time.
Right, and Dave was in the van back at base camp up on the hill.
So his son, you said his son got charged with murder?
Yes.
And so he did the crime for the murder?
Yes.
Yes.
So did he do life for the murder? Do you have the history, the records? Do you know what happened?
We have the records, I believe,
I'm gonna plug the local library. They have a great book here on it, and it's all the details on it
I know
that we
that,
actually used to research this.
I don't know if he got life. I know he was in for a number of years. Right, and I was really surprised, at least the way I read all of the, the trial information, all that, I really thought that they would find Adam guilty.
How did they come to the, finding guilt, of the son, I mean, and not the father who actually killed him, is that what?
They were together that night, and, what's believed is that Adam was with George at the bar. And they walked out together, and the son was waiting on the bridge and ambushed. Ambushed George.
Okay.
Yes.
It was brilliant that they will.
So the son that killed him, he thought he was cursed, you're saying, by.
He thought he was cursed. He had a number of things going wrong. He and George were actually brothers in
They were
law.
brother-in-law, yeah.
And Adam really felt that he had things going wrong. His crops were failing, and his
cow ran dry.
yeah, and
All kinds of terrible stuff.
he had, at one point, he and his brother-in-law were talking, and I think George had touched him 3 times when he was talking to him. And Adam, with all that was going wrong and the way that he was brought up and believing in hexes and so forth, he assumed, all right, you've done this to me, and you caused this.
He believed that anytime Adam did something, or George did something 3 times, he was recursing him. So like if they were having a conversation and he went like this 3 times, he believed that he was getting recursed, and that paranoia eventually just.
Yes, and they had letters that Adam wrote to George, asking him, take this hex off me, please, you've got it, you've got to help me, you've got to do this and that. And, George.
Letters back from George saying, like, he didn't curse him or no?
No, I think he addressed it verbally, and I think he was really kind of laughing at Adam. And,
He said later that Adam spent time in an institution.
yes.
Yeah, but you're.
Well, I was gonna say that actually plays a lot in the murder, because he thought that the only way he could break the hex was killing George 3 times in 3 different ways.
Yes, so he strangled him, shot him, and then pushed him off the river.
The son or?
Off the bridge.
Well,
They don't
nobody
know.
truly
They don't
knows. They did find some of Adam's letters on George. I'm sure. But, so, we were just drawn to this, and really would like to go back again.
Yeah.
When it wants something like this.
There's actually some things on the stories.
Alright, so we also investigated the Western Sullivan Library in California. We didn't know a lot about this location when we went in there. We knew that it had been a bank when it first opened, and it was a bank until the 70s. It's currently the Western Sullivan Public Library. And there were rumors of staff seeing a woman in a polka dot dress just walking around the place. And they contacted us and they're like, can you come see if there's any truth to this? And we're like, yeah, that's what we do. So we went there, and as we're there, we were researching along with the woman who was helping us from the library, and we found actually a picture of a woman in a polka dot dress. Her name is Frida, and she worked at the bank for 40 plus years, and we believe that she's still so attached to the bank that she is still there. And these are some of the weird things that happened while we were there that we caught.
No, I don't think it's audio, it's just the,
Yeah, I think it's just video.
just.
This one is odd because you can actually see more of the frame as it glitches, which is not normal with a glitch.
We've used these particular cameras for, probably at least, most of the time that we were.
15 of our
Yeah.
investigations.
And we've had different, camera glitches that you can maybe say, well, the wiring in the building or this or that was influencing it. But when you look at this piece of video, if you watch, you can, well, not this one that had whatever was going on, but it actually shifts and you can see a little more of the room before it goes back. And there was no one downstairs for at least 2 hours at that point.
And then the rest of these are just strange.
Light anomalies. We don't use the orb word.
So.
Sullivan County Historical Society Museum, great place. We've been there.
Twice investigating, once for a talk. We're planning on going back to investigate again, and we're planning on going back to do another talk. May
22nd next month, we'll be back there to show what we found on our investigations there. It was built in 1912. It was an elementary school, a high school. It was at one point a fire station. Tons of artifacts, tons of exhibits, and tons of things in storage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a wonderful room upstairs that we spent quite a lot of time in. It's full of mannequins and the creepiest thing you ever want to sit in the dark. But we loved it there.
I never thought I'd be sitting in the dark in a room hoping for a mannequin to move.
Now, as we sat in the mannequin room, we were just coming in. I had a night vision camera recording video. We were just coming in and getting settled. We're still kind of chatty. And hopefully you can hear this. It went too fast too. Was it? Right as we came in, and I think Becca had mentioned as we're walking in, and you said something about
this room is so creepy.
This room is so creepy, and if you listen there, it's a whisper, and it's before, we didn't have the ghost box going or anything with static. It was just a whisper as she said how creepy it was, and this voice says, "I love this room." And I heard that, I got chills, and then I'm like, all right, we have to go back.
Have you ever had like a manifestation, like where people on investigation, like physical?
I have been touched myself, not on an official investigation. I don't think we've had any issue on an investigation. We do have people on the team who are quite sensitive, and
we had a lot of people who get headaches and stuff like that, but we've never actually been like physically touched. We try to protect ourselves as much as possible so that can't happen.
But we have headed into parts of particular buildings and stopped because there was a point where it just felt as if, okay, if we go farther, it was as I went to step into a room, it felt like a physical, okay, I'm taking a step back now, that type of thing. But we haven't been touched on investigation. Yeah. So that's a few of the things that we got. We got really a crazy amount of EVPs.
Yes, we're amazed we got so much there because we weren't expecting to get anything because they hadn't had too many reports of anything happening, and I only found out about it because I used to be an actor and I had to rehearse shows there for the Sullivan County Dramatic Workshop, and my acting buddies would just be like, "Dude, the second floor. I'm not going up there. Come with me." So that's the real reason why we went there. And we didn't expect to find anything because the EMFs in the bathroom area upstairs are very high. But then we got all of this and we're just like,
yeah, the mannequin room and the Arctic exploration room. There was definitely a back and forth communication there that we've got recorded, and we've presented that one already. And we've got so much more for next month when we go back.
Usually we get the high spikes and, the electromagnetic pulse and other spikes of electricity, they need that energy to manifest, and so I'm not surprised they do it all the EVPs, because they need that energy to.
E.B. Crawford Library.
which we've all been waiting for.
Okay, so Ethelbert B. Crawford, before we went in to investigate, I really did not know much about this man. He was born, I've seen reports that he was born in 1870, some things say 1872. And he was an engineer who brought telephone communication to the US and Japan. One of them anyway. We don't really know what happened that he lost most of his hearing. It's referenced in some letters. He became a painter, we know that. We know that through some correspondence, he had a very overbearing mother who controlled his finances. And, you know, they would travel around together throughout the US, and EB would do a lot of paintings. You know, he wasn't taking pictures, he was painting portraits, he was painting landscapes, he was painting whatever he saw on his trips. And when he went out to Colorado, he met the love of his life. They, you know, spent a lot of time together, and his mother really didn't like it. His sister died young, relatively young, in the early 20s, I believe, and his mother really latched on to EB. And so when he decided, hey, we're gonna get married, it's gonna be great, she basically was like, oh, no, you're not. And he ended up, he listened to her. He didn't run and, you know, live out a happy life with Maud. He ended up committing suicide in 1921. His mother contacted, I believe, Met. She wanted,
Yeah, it was a Met.
She wanted his paintings displayed. She wanted them to become a permanent exhibition. She wanted everyone to know who he was and what he did. And they wrote her back a nice letter that really said, hey, we can't commit to putting this out forever. You know, we like his paintings and so forth. So at some point it was decided that, I believe she funded the building of the Crawford Library and stipulated that his paintings should be on permanent display. So we went to this investigation. We figured we would concentrate on EB, see if he's around, see if his mother's around with the suicide and the tragedy, you know, not having his love. We looked for him and anyone from his family and so forth. That's what we had
And we figured a lot of his paintings were still in the attic at the time, so we figured you put a lot of time into anything that you create. As an artist, I know I put a little piece of myself in everything that I create. So we really wanted to focus on Ethelbert while we were there, because we figured if anything was still attached to his paintings. And what we found, we were a little thrown off by.
I'm sorry, should we say more questions?
Oh, no, just throw them.
So did the library contact your team to come investigate, or did you reach out to the library?
I think we asked you.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because we were told at one of our
Yeah.
previous talks that we should contact them because people had been experiencing strange things in the basement. So we went in and we were gonna focus on the basement and the attic, and we didn't find anything in the basement. We did find that there was a circuit breaker that had really high EMFs near it that could have caused people to feel like they were being watched when they were walking down the stairs and stuff. But when we were in the basement, we focused a lot of our time and energy on that section, and we didn't really find anything. And actually, where we did find most of our stuff was in the office,
In the staff room.
in the staff room office area.
Where are his paintings now?
Are any of these?
They're here, we don't have them up yet. We are gonna put them up in the area out there, out in the library. This is gonna be changing all the time. Where we put his work is gonna be permanent.
How many paintings do you have?
Many, many paintings.
Yeah.
Many,
He
many.
was
He did a lot.
I know.
And here's what we found that threw us off.
Say your name one more time for us.
We don't know who Tony is, or was, or what connection there might have been. So we also, what I thought was interesting is, with the communication that we got that night, we would get a woman's voice as well. You know, and we would have more than one response to our questions. We have a woman's voice, we have a man kind of, you know, cutting in. And we were thinking, you know, maybe a librarian, this and that, and we were going through everything, trying to figure that out. After we investigated, I go to my mother's house and I'm telling her about it, and she says, well, what about the murder at the library? My jaw dropped, because in everything that we had looked at, it was Ethelbert and his family and the suicide and nothing about murder. So my mother said that she had gotten married in 53, and that when she got married, her husband told her that there had been a stabbing of a librarian outside of the original library. And that's basically all that he knew.
When the stabbing occurred.
We don't have the year.
There's no record of it?
There is, we're working on it. No, there was a librarian who I guess had closed up for the night, and when she left, she was murdered outside of the
She
library.
should
Yes, we're working on it. So then, once we heard this, we contacted Mary Page and said, all right, what can you tell us? What were we missing? And really, aside from a few things here and there, somebody remembers hearing it, we have the name of the victim's son. We have the name of the police officer who investigated the case, and that's what we have.
You don't have
What
the
year?
No,
We do not have the name of the victim. And I've tried to, go back through, Gmail, I can't even talk to him, Ancestry.com records, for him to go back, and I can get him and who I think is him. There's two Joseph Grubbs that I come up with that were relatively local.
What time period was it from?
My mother said to her it sounded as if it had happened quite a while before. I talked to the daughter of the officer because he's passed, and she remembers there was a photo of her dad in the library during the investigation, which she can't find now, and she has no idea the year. So we're thinking maybe late 40s, early 50s.
From that being in the archives?
We haven't found anything through the library records yet. I've talked to the police department, and they said unless I can narrow it down more, their paper records are, in boxes in the basement, wherever, and for someone to go through it, yes.
We're also, we're good friends with people at Sullivan Paranormal Society, so we are gonna have them on it as well as us, and hoping that we can find something in either their archives.
Yes, as I was telling Mary Page earlier, I'm to the point where with this murder, I'm ready as soon as I can get some time in my schedule to go sit in their archives and go through microfiche of the old newspapers because it had to have hit the front page.
Yeah, it had to.
So we will find out.
What happened.
Are you guys interested in recent unsolved mystery murders?
We would investigate anything.
Because after, can I speak?
Yeah, you were absolutely. Alright, so this is something that we're not really sure is paranormal, but it was still odd enough that we wanted to include it. We sometimes ask spirits to manipulate the temperature for us, because it's believed that they can either make it warmer or colder with their presence. So we asked the spirit to get it to 50 degrees Fahrenheit in this room. And the temperature before we started was about 46 degrees Fahrenheit.
And holding steady.
Yeah, and holding steady at like 46.
I mean, that was
the highest it got was about 48.0. So we're just like, well, 50 seems far enough away where it wouldn't necessarily be natural. So we have like 20 minutes of video, but we cut it down to 33 seconds for you people, so you're not here forever. But this is when it actually hits what we wanted to do. You can make it those sides. Yes, I can. There you go. That's much easier.
Because it had already gotten up to, it's slowly going. I need it higher.
Then it hits it and then it immediately drops back down quite a few degrees.
But as we said, we had already been in that room for I don't know how long, and the temperature.
It was like 20 minutes. Like we had 20 minutes.
And we had been in there earlier as well, and it was a very steady temperature. There were no drafts, there were no other things going on.
So that then the temperature immediately dropped down? And
Yeah, it went right back down. It was very
Very
strange.
interesting, yeah.
Oh, okay. And here are some final EVPs that we got from our second investigation.
truly that night, we did get a lot of responses. There's just so many that you can put up, but you know, when we're sitting there laughing and get the girls, now what?
Did you actually ask, the spirit what the name of the person who killed it was? Like you
This
did on-
one,
I think we did, but we didn't get any response at that point, so.
And why did you ask if somebody was wearing a camel-colored coat?
Yeah, good point.
because on our team, we do have a couple of members who are sensitive, and that person, that's the impression that she was getting at the time. So she asked.
Yeah.
But that's what we've gotten from E.B. Crawford, which we love, and we have upcoming investigations. We are leaving Friday, yay, and going to Gettysburg. So that should be a lot of fun. And, oh yeah, I can't wait, and I already want to start packing the car with the equipment. But we're gonna be walking around 10 Mile River. We are still working on a date with the Forestburg Playhouse so that, before all the actors are in, so that it's quiet, because they do live on the premises. And in addition to private investigations, because anybody that calls us in to do a home, something like that, it's private, we don't discuss it. May 22nd, we're at the Sullivan County Museum and discussing what we found there. We're gonna be in Franklin, Massachusetts, Paranormal for Paws.
Because how couldn't we with our logo?
It's a fundraiser, and Magic and Macabre and SPS will have a booth at the Kite Festival.
We'll just have like our newsletter sign up and be haunted for sure, so you guys can go here and everything.
So there you have it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, we'll open up the floor now to answer some. Anybody wants to?
So out of this list of upcoming investigations, how many of them are ones that the team has reached out to, or are any of them ones that you've got the calls on? For instance, Forestburg Playhouse, what's making you go there?
Oh, because it's wonderful. Actually, it was a thought that crossed our minds that it's been around, part of local history for so long, and we love local history. I reached out to Franklin, who's the director there, producer, and I just said, hey, this is something that we thought we might like to do. And in their history, they do have 2 owners who died on the premises. So Franklin was very receptive. He had me out, we did a walkthrough, and since then it's just been a matter of trying to figure out a date that works for both of us.
Right, but he didn't call you and say, we think we're seeing ghosts at the theater.
Not at all, not at all. In fact, he said, really, he says if there's anything there, he thinks it's very positive. He says here and there he does get a report, somebody says a radio comes on when nobody's near it, or something little like that. And but he said, why not come and check it out?
Why not set it up for October when the actors have gone home, close to?
We've thought about that, and we were trying to do that last fall. And I think there were a number of the actors that stay on quite long because he does have some events, weekend events that they do.
Rocky Horror.
Yeah. And so we really weren't able, between college, work, kids, things like that, able to get a date that worked for both of us. So we're working on a spring date.
We're hoping to get in there before the season starts.
There you go.
Yeah, starting contact with them. And then 10 Mile River, John Conway actually asked us to do
That was
that.
one of my questions,
Yeah.
whether you're in contact with Conway.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
He knows everything there is to know.
Yes, it seems so.
He does, he knows
But
everything there is to know. He'd be a
we've
great
worked
person.
on a few things with him, and we've traded, I had some documents that he didn't have, and we went back and forth. But he says, at this point, through some of his lectures, when he gets into, some of the murders around, he says, I have mentioned your team, and I'm plugging in.
He is the Sullivan County historian.
Yes, so we talk with him quite a lot.
And he told us if there's any place that still has some residual energy, it'll be 10 Mile River. So
I don't want to monopolize questions. What about the Western Hotel in Kalamazoo, which has 2 members?
we want to get in there.
Yes, we would love to get in there.
Yeah, new ownership, so
Yeah.
maybe that can happen.
That's something that we've actually discussed with some of our team
And
members.
any place as long as it's the Western Hotel.
Yes.
We've heard
Gotta
rumors
be
from
on
other
the list.
dates that it is.
And I'm not sure which house it is down Block River, Brayton House.
And you said
The
that was
daughter
celebrating, right?
They had heard things when they were living there. And we're going back 30, 40.
Mhm.
So your investigation of the library is ongoing then, because clearly there's a lot of holes in the story, so.
We're working on research.
We're working on research,
All that we
yeah.
can, yes.
And so then what happens, out of curiosity, once you learn more, how, do you let people know through your newsletter?
We
Sure,
sure,
on our
yeah,
website.
whatever we
Everybody
find,
contacts the library?
yes, whatever we find, we'll be telling Mary Kay, so if she finds something out, then, you know, she'll be letting us know so we can get even deeper into the story. Yeah.
The radio thing's interesting, because sometimes in my house at night, when you get ready to go to bed, I'll hear what sounds like a very far away radio transmission. You know, like an old fashioned one.
What about this
No.
library? Have you guys tried this library now?
I moved there.
No, we haven't, we haven't
Radio.
been.
That was before that bathroom was built, I moved there.
Unless there's any other questions, I guess we're pretty much. What's that? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, you ever let anybody, was interested in being in an investigation? If you ever let us, do something like that with you?
Oh, like have a guest come along?
Yeah.
We haven't at this point, but we've been talking about it because we do have, online an application for anyone that's been interested in becoming members.
And we have the cards over there with the link and the QR code.
So we're open to the idea, it just depends on the investigation and what we can handle at the time.
And a lot of times they don't want us to bring a whole bunch of people on, but something like the Stone Bridge, we've been sort of speaking about maybe possibly doing a public kind of investigation there where we get together and we tell the story and stuff, so. Yes.
I know about Candy Dish, you got a couple cameras and some, energy detecting devices, you check
Yes.
those all out as we walk in?
No, these are just being used for display right now, but these are the actual equipment we use during the course of our regular investigations.
Yeah, we figured as we talked about the equipment, we put some of it out, obviously, we're gonna bring like a DVR and, the remote things and things, but that's just a little sample, because the things that we actually do use do not turn on the motion sensor. It is loud.
One last question, I don't know, but I'm out of here. Do you have, a psychic? You guys?
We have a few sensitive people on our team, but we haven't teamed up with like somebody who is like a full-on medium yet or anything. But we do have a few psychics on our team who can tell certain things from different locations that we try to like base our questions off of sometimes to see if we can get some more questions, like with the camel color coat.
Yeah.
We don't go in with the idea that a place is haunted, and we don't go in relying entirely on a person's sensitivities, because you can't prove it.
Right.
But we have gone in and where we might be getting some things on the equipment, we use it to just enhance and just get a little more feedback from what we're doing.
Do you ever combine your efforts like with other paranormal societies in the area? Like I know there's Briscoe Paranormal, I know there's one out of Jeffersonville.
Catskill Paranormal. We haven't at this point, but we're very open to it. We'd love to pair up with, another team, like-minded people, and just go in and really maybe do a large location.
Yeah.
That would be great.
We attend meetups right now in Dutchess County. There's paranormal enthusiast meetups over there. So there's a lot of teams that we meet with in the Dutchess County area that we're hoping to do investigations with together because they've reached out to us when we go. We're just like, yeah, that sounds cool. So we're hoping to.
We've done a lot of networking with teams in, the outlying areas, and absolutely we would do that.
Particular spots in town, Gettysburg, that we have to visit?
She wants to go to the Cache Mountain really bad.
Well, I couldn't see the fountain.
We want to go to Devil's Deck.
I was just gonna say, I would imagine that would be a good spot, because that was a horrific place to die.
Yeah.
So many people killed.
So we will be, yes. And then that's part of, an upcoming presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Hello.
I know, it's been important.
Hey guys.
How are you?
No, you're right. You. That's what I was trying to convey. Yes. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and hashtag SPS Live. Woo!